Hey everyone, hey all, welcome back to the channel, and today I continue on with a look at something from Transformers Legacy United by way of the leader of the Star Seekers, Thundertron. Someone that I wasn't sure I even wanted, but boy, oh boy, did he turn out real nice. Don't take my word for it. We're going to look at this guy in the latest GotBot True review. Hey one, hey all, welcome back to the channel. I'm your host, your most humble of hosts, Dennis Moulton, aka GotBot. As always, please like, comment, share, of course, subscribe. And while you are at it, light 'em up, baby. Hit that notification bell, please. It helps me out a ton, and it lets you know when content of all sorts goes up here on the channel. Check out Machinery of Man, The Everything Factor, all the groups that I'm either a mod or an admin for, as well as all of my social media links. All of that is in the description down below. Also in the description down below, and if you're in a position to help the channel to grow, you can use the donate link, check us out on Patreon, see what we have to offer to you through spring, or of course hit the join button at any given time and become a channel member. And this is Thundertron. I had previously said that I wasn't sure if I was going to get this guy or wait for the apparent leader class version that's supposed to be part of the Starseeker subline coming to Walmart later this year. And I decided to go with this one because I'm starting to think that there may be another leader class, kind of tigerish, big catish mold that might be used and repainted for the leader class offering in the Starseeker line. Of course, I'm talking about Tigerhawk. And honestly, I'm not sure how I feel about that mold. I'm not even sure if I'm going to get Tigerhawk at this point. I might have to wait and check it out when I see it like on the shelf in person. But because I'm kind of iffy on that one at this point, I said, you know what? I think I'm going to get this Thundertron. And I want to get this Thundertron because Voyager is the right scale for me for like a leader of a faction. My Combiner leaders, they're Voyager. Optimus is Voyager. Megatron is Voyager. Really anything that's the leader of a faction is a Voyager. So I said, you know what, I think it kind of really fits in there. So I'm going to get him and check him out. Is he good? Is he not? Well, we are going to head over to the table and take a closer look at this guy. Yar, get ready to walk the plank, ye scurvy sea dogs, as we take a look at this. It is the Transformers Legacy United Prime Universe Thundertron. For those not in the know, although I'm not sure how you wouldn't be in the know now, Thundertron leads the Starseeker pirates. His ship is the Tidal Wave, and he actually detests all Cybertronians because being cut off from Cybertron at one point led to the destruction of his home world. Not that we really know which world was his home world. As such, Autobot, Decepticon, whatever Cybertronian you want to be, he detests you. And him and his crew, they're probably not only going to pillage and steal from you, but they'll probably seek to extinguish your spark. He has seen a lot of battle, and while this mold was supposed to have some like barnacles somehow molded in, because that didn't really fit with the aesthetic, we actually have battle damage on this guy that's asymmetrical. We'll show that when we get to it, which is kind of cool though, because like he's seen some stuff and some things, right? And by the way, his ship, the Tidal Wave, is not Tidal Wave, it's just a name used. It's not the Tidal Wave, right? So kind of cool, you know, kind of cool that we would get this guy. He was supposed to be integral in, I guess, whatever was going to follow Beast Hunters. Like, Beast Hunters was supposed to be a whole season. That got cut to 13 episodes. Whether it would have been Prime Season 4 or maybe before they kind of settled on what RID became, this guy was going to have a prominent role, and that didn't really work out. He got a release in the Transformers Prime line, but anyway, it didn't quite work out, is the best way I can think of to explain it. For the record, the original release that came out in like, oh, I don't know, like 2012, 2013, something like that, 2011, somewhere around there. It got reused a whole bunch of times as like a version of Lio Convoy, if I'm not mistaken, or Leo Prime, if you will. It got repainted where the blue was sort of replaced with like a greenie to be Go Prime. If you know Transformers Go, then Go Prime is basically like a classic swordsman who, like, I don't know, he loses some of his power every time he uses his powerful sword or something. I think he's able to like move through time and space and like appear anywhere by like using his sword to like cut through the fabric of time and space. But like the side effect is that it's like slowly killing him or something. It's really weird, honestly. Like he's actually tied to like the Black Legend disc and like the Black Parade, which is part of the precursor universe, right? So like he has power, but he pays for it basically, right? So like very cool. All of those, I would say, are fringe characters. Like I think it was also used for like Alpha Trizer, which is a version of like Alpha Triumph or Beast or something in BotCon. The weirdest mold, all fringe characters, but had a cult following, and now we're getting an update. Go figure, right? So I'm not angry about this at all. He's an interesting character. I've given you some background. Let's look at the packaging first. Here's our packaging. I wasn't sure I was going to get the Voyager because Thundertron is actually going to get another update later this year as a leader class, part of the Star Seeker subline that I think is going to be Walmart exclusive. We'll talk about why I chose this guy over waiting for that guy in just a little bit. But here we have the line mode, a line mode over here. Apparently his line mode is based on Zoids. I don't really remember Zoids, so it doesn't really mean anything to me. Over here we have some of the artwork, half of the artwork, and the 40th anniversary thingamajigger down at the bottom. And on the back we see both of the alt modes. He's holding his sword. Pretty darn neat. I found these instructions to be big, bright, clear, easy to follow. The only thing that kind of stumped me a little bit was the very first step says basically that you got to pull out the line head from the chest, and that was a bit of a bear the very first time I did it, just because of how tightly it was pegged on. But luckily, I was able to get it off and it all worked out fine after the fact. And not for nothing, but man, oh man, I gotta say that the Thundertron mold here very much puts me in the mind of the Alpha Trion that came out during I'll spit this out in a minute. Titan's Return. A lot of people panned that Alpha Trion, which was also used as a version of Lio Convoy in Japan, for the record. But I loved it. I thought it was great. It was a triple changer, and it looked bulky, right? I use it, of course, now as Shattered Glass Alpha Trion, because that's really what this body type is, right? It's Shattered Glass Alpha Trion, if you know Shattered Glass. He clocks in at 167 grams of plastic. The Thundertron clocks in at 145 grams of plastic. 145, definitely the range needed for a Voyager, so I'm happy about that. That said, this guy was 30 bucks Canadian. This guy was 48, I think, Canadian. So it's certainly gone up more than inflation would allow, and we've certainly lost a bit less. But you know what? It's brilliant. It is definitely a Voyager. I'm not that angry about it at all because it looks really, really great. But yeah, for some reason, this reminded me of this. And I already like this mold, so I think this guy had a good fighting chance of being a good mold. That said, it's not the reason that I bought him over the leader class. I am starting to think that the leader class is going to be a reuse of Tigerhawk. And that's fine if you love Tigerhawk. And I get it because that's a big cat mode and has like the wing sections, but I think based on the past kind of Walmart lines, they've had mold reuses. Velocitron Speedia 500 had mold reuses for a lot of it. A couple of new molds, but a lot of mold reuses. Same with the Toxitron subline. That was, I think, all mold reuses and repaints. I suspect that a later class may very well be probably some remolded parts, but I think it's going to be a reuse of the Tigerhawk mold, and I'm not sure how I feel about that mold. He's big and expensive, and I've heard great things, but the huge front paws, the small back paws, I don't know, man, it throws me off a little bit. When I think of this character, I think of something a little more line-esque, and this guy still kind of pulls off the, like, tails of the coat that he sort of wears. So I think that the Voyager might be the way to go for me. I think it's the right fit for me. That's why I chose it, because it was its own mold rather than a mold reuse, and I think it's the right way to go. Plus, if I really preferred the leader class later on as Thundertron, I would repurpose this guy into Go Prime, right? From Transformers Go. Why not, right? I might even paint the blue a little more of a tealy color. I don't know. And maybe that'll never happen. Time will tell. Here, of course, you can hold his sword just fine. It's molded nicely. It's a nicely molded sword. It has a rectangular peg here. Not really much in the way of hollowness or anything, but no paint. I don't know. I think you could put a bit of silver on this. That said, once you take it out of his hand, if you don't want it there, you have a couple of options. Some people say you can put it in on the side here. I've even seen it done. I can do it as well, but honestly, it's loose. Real loose. Like, it's there, but all I have to do to knock it off is... like, it's that easy, it's that loose. So I, just like in line mode, tend to come here to his back section, and there's that peg there, and I would just store it in there. That's much more solid. In terms of look for the guy, I mean, you know, he's in the novels, but he doesn't really have much fiction per se. He really looks a bit different in Transformers Prime, so this is definitely stylized. I wouldn't likely just know that this was Thundertron, not unless I took this off and gave him his peg leg, you know. I don't know, man. I really don't know how to feel about this. I'm going to say... I don't know. I'm going to say that our dude here is... 8.5. I'm going to say 8.5. By the way, if you take his foot off, there's a little rectangular section. It can go onto the sword like this. And like he can still hold it. It's just now it's going to have more here on the hilt, right? So you can do that with the foot. I guess I'll leave it off for now because, hey, why not? So 8.5. Let's talk about the articulation for the guy. The head goes left, right, up and down a little bit. These can go up. This can go all the way up. Doesn't really get out of the way of anything, which I thought was going to be a bummer, but the shoulder can go all the way out. We can still, like, full T-pose. The arm can go well forward. It can go well back. Not going to go all the way around, but it's going to give you all the range that you need. Elbow to over 90 degrees. Bicep swivel, which is nice. We have a wrist swivel, which is also nice. Yeah, wrist swivel, which is nice. We have a waist, but you kind of got to get up under his head and here. And it's a limited waist because of all of this section down here. So he does have a waist wiggle, I guess we would say. We have these pieces. They can go up, and they're on ball joints, so they can go back and get out of the way. I'm going to show these two and this in a moment because that has the battle damage on it. The tail piece can go in this far, out this far, if you really want to move it out of the way. The legs can go all the way to the side. They can go well forward, not all the way though, which is a little bit of a bummer. If you want to get a little more of a range of motion forward, you can turn the thigh to the side. It does. You have to do it for alt mode anyway, and you're supposed to turn it back. But I mean, if you wanted to turn it and leave it to the side, I guess you could. Wouldn't really affect outward motion. The thigh would now look a little weird, but I mean, you could, right? So I'm not, the slight limit of the thigh, I'm not going to hold against it because it's an easy workaround for it. We do have a thigh swivel. We do have a deep, deep knee, well over 90 degrees at the knee. Looks like a double knee actually to me. I guess we have this. It's for transformation, but if you want to do it, you can. This leg has an ankle tilt to the side, forward and back. This one, however, well, does it have forward and back? I don't think so. I don't think this has anything. No, I don't think that this one has anything, which is a little bit of a bummer. Not deal breaker, but a little bit of a bummer. And I get it, it's a peg leg. When you have the actual foot in there for the record, it can go forward and back because of this blue piece in here, but it still doesn't have side to side, which is, you know, it is what it is. Too bad. Nevertheless, most of it is quite functional. He's solid even now on his peg leg. You can get pretty much everything you want. I'm going to give it, again, a solid... I mean, it'd be nice if arm could go all the way around. It'd be nice if the waist was a little more free-flowing. And it'd be nice if you didn't have to turn the thigh to get full forward. By the way, does it go back much? It can go back a fair bit, but it's going to get caught up with this back piece and this. I'm going to give it again, 8.5. I'm going to say 8.5, 8.5, which isn't bad, right? Not perfect, but not bad. 8.5, 8.5. I like it. A couple of things I want to show a little closer, so we'll do that now before we do the transformation. So a lot of people heard the talk of this guy supposedly having barnacles in his design, which didn't play out. It didn't happen. But they got replaced, I guess, with battle damage. You can see on the gray tailpiece that this side has notches right here that this side doesn't have. And it has some scrapes and cracks as well. These two pieces on the side, as you can see, quite different really, right? We have a notch here and a couple more notches here that we don't have here. We have a piece sticking off at the edge here that we don't have over here. We have a couple of notches up here, only one in here. So yes, it is asymmetrical, molded different to show some battle damage, and it all comes down to kind of form the tails of his pirate jacket. Okay, so let's kind of get going here with the transformation, and hopefully this will work out fine. There's a lot going on in the center of the torso. Hopefully I'll be able to show it. We'll see. So we begin by picking that off. There's a rectangular tab here and a slot up here. Mine was pegged in super duper tight in the beginning. It's loosened up ever so slightly now, but enough that it is functional. Get that kind of out of the way, and we're going to lift all of this up over our guy's head. Bring it all the way up for now. We're also going to take this back piece, if we didn't already, and bring it out for now. Let's see. Let's do maybe his arms next. So the arms come up and they rotate in over his face, up, and rotates in over his face. We're going to turn and turn. This one's real tight. There. And now these are going to end up coming up over. And really what's going to happen is, you know what? Let's not bring them all the way up just yet. Let's not do that just yet. Let's go down and do the lower body, because you'll see. You'll see. Pick this out for now as well. And this head can come forward now as well. Okay, so for the back here, we're going to turn the two thighs out to the side, and we're going to turn, because we kind of got two swivels here. I didn't really make that clear. We have a thigh swivel up here, and we have another swivel at the knee, so he has like a double thigh swivel, so to speak. And we bring all of this down like this, and then we can just straighten this up on the side, however we want. Bring this all the way down, bring the knee all the way back, bring that out, and I guess he has a peg leg back here now too. Okay, and again, we can take that piece and bring it down on the side. No problem. Cool. Perfect. Great. Okay, now we want to get these up over. This edge here will go into a little notch here just above the wrist, basically. And we do the same on this side to sort of solidify those in. Then we bring this up and bring out a paw piece. And we bring this down. We bring this up, we bring out a paw piece, and we bring this down. All that there, thusly like that. We're going to bring this up over now as well, and we're going to leave all of that there like that for now. Okay. I'm going to make sure that I got these in, and it's a little hard to do here. We're going to turn this paw piece out. Nope, wrong way. Turn it this way and bring it out. We're going to bring this out and turn this way. Nope, other way. My mistake. Other way around, and bring this up. Down like that. Okay. Now that we got the head out here, we want to take this whole section, and there's a little notch down under right here, and it's going to go into a slot back here behind the head. and sort of solidify all of that into place. So I'm not sure why it's not doing it there now. Hold on. Maybe I didn't have the... Yeah, I didn't have the head up far enough. My mistake. There. And now these sections under here will go up underneath. There. Yeah, okay, so I was making a couple of mistakes here. And I thought that when I said that this section goes into the wrist slot, I was mistaken. It's this that goes into the wrist slot. That was all my fault. I didn't have the neck elongated enough to make sure that this tabbed down where it was supposed to. That was on me. And so was this. My absolute mistake, and I apologize. Bring that now all the way up around. The elbow kind of solidifies and wraps up around that white piece, and then that little white tab goes into the wrist section. Yeah, there you go. And then this folds down under the hands. Then these come down on the side. Now, you're supposed to use this peg hole here and this peg here and put this peg into this peg hole, but that limits the front paw articulation, so I'm not going to do that. We'll see how it pans out. But basically, I have to double check and solidify a couple of things, and I'm sorry for kind of mucking up the front there a little bit, but basically, boom, in the end, here we have Thundertron in his lion mode. By the by, and not for nothing, if you want some extra solidity, on the bottom part of the fist, there's a little round port there and a little round port there, and there are little tiny pegs on the under part of the mane that can go into both of those ports as well. So an 8.5 is pretty good. I'm going to give the transformation, though, honestly, a 9.5. I know, I've kind of fiddled things up with my misplacement of the front here. I mean, really, the two arms, when you turn them, they tab together back here at the elbow. The bottom of the mane, I guess, tabs in under the fist. And then there's notches above the wrist that go in over those white sections. I just messed up where the white sections were supposed to be. My fault. Doesn't hurt the score at all. 9.5. After you do it a couple of times, it's actually pretty brilliant. It was just, I messed it up. I think the way the torso unfurls and the way the head extends is brilliant. But it's easy to forget steps. Like, the whole reason I messed it up is because I forgot to fully extend the lion head. That's on me and nobody else. Like I said, these pegs are supposed to go into the side here, but that limits the range of motion here to forward and back, and I guess forward and back to paw. As it is, it goes all the way out to the side and go back and go forward, and like, he can hold himself up just fine. Anyway, back here, I tend to move these around so I can get a wider range of motion, because really it's the range of motion on the legs. If these are all the way in on the hips, then the legs go very close together and really can't move outward. So I would actually advise that you sort of angle these out a bit more to give you a wider range for more dynamic poses. And the tail, it can still go up and down. And the sword, that solidifies just fine here on the back as well. Yeah, he had an 8.5 for his look, because it is stylized. An 8.5 for the articulation, because there's a couple of minor limits, but not deal breakers. And you can still get a ton of dynamic poses. And I'm going to give a 9.5 for the transformation, even though I messed it up ever so slightly. Overall score, this guy's a easy, somewhere between an 8.75 and a 9. It's a really great true blue Voyager. Again, as we've seen with some of the early Legacy United releases, it's a bit more of a fringe character. Not everyone's going to know it, but man, is he fun in both modes. Whoo, baby. And here we are, and here he is, and wow. Like, honestly, wow. So, is he perfect? Maybe not, but man, is he ever strong. He has great mass. I love that the molding on his, I'm going to say like the back tail pieces of his jacket and the two side skirts, they're different. They're not symmetrical, which means they had to be molded differently. All of the bronze on him is a beautiful paint that I really like. Some white paint done really well on the head up here. I love how the entire kind of upper body and head section of the big cat, the lion, whatever it is he turns into, all condenses and fills in the body to give it a nice solid heft. Hinge and joint at the shoulder, though I will say the hinge at this shoulder is much tighter than it is on this one. Not that that is a deal breaker by any stretch of the imagination. All of the articulation is really there. Most of it is unhindered. Granted, there might be an argument that says, hey, putting the leg out straight to the front, like maybe if you turn this to the side, you get a little more motion. But as it is, I think the look of this guy is great. I think he looks hefty like a pirate would, wearing something that's big on his shoulders and big on his chest and the tails and all of it. I can picture this guy going, "Army mateys," and that sort of thing, you know? I think it was smart that he came with a sword because he would have a sword, right? Not a character I'm super familiar with. The Starseekers aren't a group that I'm super familiar with. However, I do think that hearkening it to Transformers Prime is probably the closest thing to him being in fiction that would resonate with me personally. The articulation is great, the paint is great, the transformation is very interesting. I enjoyed the Alpha Trion mold back in the day, and this does have broad strokes homaging that. It's definitely not the same thing. This is definitely better. But it does homage that. The only thing that's weird is when you open up the front paws here, and you should really use this peg to peg into this port on the arm, it really limits the mobility of the front leg. So it's your choice, but for me, I just don't do that transformation step. I don't think it's necessary. I did, during the transformation, forget to kind of collapse the head a little bit, which did make me sort of fiddle with things a little bit, but that was on me. The transformation is actually quite brilliant. The design is quite good. You just got to make sure that you compact everything the way it's supposed to be compacted. Yeah, I wasn't sure how I was going to feel about it, but man, oh man, what an absolute win of an offering for the Transformers Legacy United line. Let me know what you think about this version of Thundertron. Did you get him? Did you pass on him? Have you been on the fence? Because if you're on the fence, you should probably nab him. Yeah, he's great. Let me know what you think. I appreciate you guys coming by, giving me some of your extremely valuable time. I do know how important it is to you. If you're in a position to help the channel to grow, you can use the donate link. Check us out on Patreon. See what we have to offer to you through Spring, or of course hit the join button at any given time and become a channel member. While you're at it, please hit the subscribe button, man. Stick around. Have some fun with us here on the channel. Don't forget that somehow, some way, each and every single solitary day, you right there, you do make a difference in the world. And I look forward to the next time that you and I get together to have another visit, either in the live streams on Thursday nights, at the stop motion premieres, or the old-fashioned way right here inside the videos.